Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the E4 Youth Creative Pathways Talk. I'm your host, Jaleisha, and today for our talk, we'll be having a digital docent with us here today. Usually in the past, we usually have other creative professionals, but this week we really want to highlight the work that our digital docents here at E4 Youth were doing. So without further ado, we'll be having Chelsea Jenkins. So Chelsea Jenkins is a senior in communications, radio, television, and film at the University of Texas at Austin. She was born and raised in Southeast Houston, Texas, gang. Chelsea always had a passion for community engagement, self-awareness, and sharing her knowledge. Being indecisive about the career path she wanted to begin, Chelsea emerged within the media atmosphere, finding a passion she never knew she had. She became more involved in creative roles, which included being a creative mentor and digital docent with E4 Youth. She also has been an intern for KUXTX 98.9, the Austin Public Radio, Verizon Media, and HISD, which is the Houston Independent School District. Chelsea has experience with media studies research, social media marketing, media production, video and audio editing, and she even hosts her own podcast called The Real Deal Podcast. So let's welcome Chelsea. Hi.
Hi, you guys. It's so nice to be here with you guys today.
Yes. So just to start us all, Chelsea, go ahead and tell us how you got involved in the creative industry.
Yeah, so at first it was kind of crazy. I was kind of confused as to like what I wanted to do. In high school, I did a little bit of like morning announcements and public speaking, but I never really thought of myself as a like creative. Um, so deciding like what I wanted to do, I thought probably communications would be best since I have like a warm personality and like to talk. And once I became a radio, television, and film major here at UT, at first I thought I would probably be on TV, but I soon learned that that was backstage. And once I found out that was production, like, post production and things of that sort, I kind of started to think of how I could make myself a like valuable asset to this like industry.
Mhm.
And I started to play around with editing, media, thanks to classes that I've taken at UT. And it kind of just took off from there. And I kind of, realized like, wow, I do like, creating and producing media.
That's so awesome. I love that. And I mean, what about it do you love exactly?
Um, I really love like, storytelling, and really like telling stories to people, engaging people with stories. Like in our everyday life, like we always tell stories, whether it's small, big, long, like we always tell some kind of story and like to engage each other like in a conversation or just a topic. So I always enjoyed that, talking with people about different experiences that I've had, and
Mhm.
just sharing that with people. So that really like gave me a chance to really exhibit that in the creative field, by producing content that I feel like, is fun and very interesting to engage people on these kind of topics, but also to educate people about anything that you feel like is important.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. I mean, so what in that made you get involved with E4 Youth?
So E4 Youth came around my junior year of college. Thanks to Jaleesa. Shout out to her. She told me about E4 Youth. I had no idea what E4 Youth was, but it was something so perfect. Like when she was telling me about the program and, helping creatives such as myself, that's minorities, to get their foot in the door in the creative field, it was just like, wow, I need this, because I was already confused about what I needed to do. So I needed some kind of clarity. And when I met the people at E4 Youth and, really got surrounded by creatives that, really had different passions, but all supported like the same goal of like wanting us to really like, diversify the creative field, it just felt like home. So shout out to E4 Youth. I'm really proud to be a member.
That's so awesome. I mean, what type of skills did you hone here at E4 Youth during your time?
Mm, definitely, definitely being comfortable with telling my story. E4 Youth really like pushed me to, be able to put my story into words.
Hmm.
It's easy to just kind of know what you're about, but it's actually communicating that with others is like kind of weird, because I kind of don't, not saying that I don't like talking about myself, but when it comes to like some of my passions and stuff, I just kind of never like put myself out there. So E4 you really like helped me with that skill, public speaking for sure. So oh,
Okay.
and another one. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I was just gonna say also another one is just kind of like just learn how to be creative like acapella, just using different tools that's around you. Like you don't have to have all this big fancy equipment to be creative.
Right. Yeah, I feel that. I feel like I learned that a lot too. Like Carl, he pushes it into our brains. You have to know your story,
You
like
have to know your story.
all the time. That's so awesome. I love. I mean, can you tell us like what you're involved in with Equal Youth, what projects you're working on, or what
Yes.
with the creative mentor side?
Yes. So not only am I a digital docent for E4 Youth, I'm also a creative mentor. So my job as a creative mentor is basically we help students that attend high schools, that are locally here in Austin that may be like underserved in resources or whatever tools that they may need to be creative. And so we have our Get Creative clubs, which y'all should chime in too. um, we have our Get Creative clubs where we have awesome mentors that really care about students' creativity and passions. And no matter where you're at in the creative field, we don't have any kind of like specific like spots that you have to like major in or anything like that. Like it was just so flexible. So I really enjoy like helping students that probably don't have the tools to be creative or feel like it's just far out of reach to pursue their passion. So I really recommend the Good Creative Clubs.
That's cool. What projects are you doing as a digital docent?
So right now I know we're also working on the Austin Digital Heritage Project. Basically doing some research for East Austin and locations that are very relevant to the history in East Austin. You guys should definitely check that out to also learn more about East Austin history and to make sure that we are covering those kind of topics.
Awesome. I love that for you. And I also know that you're involved with the Verizon Media, the Verizon Media Studio. Like, how are you liking that?
So far, it's really good. I really love the energy. I'm a real big person, like on energy. If the energy is not right, it just don't. But I really love like the project that we're working on. We're working on like a project that's with Yahoo. That's like the Alley Pledge, and it's really cool that we're like getting the chance to work with professionals in the industries that are interested in like diversing the creative field and educating people by being creative, producing content to help people, not only like enjoy this content, but to also be educated on topics that are near and dear to histories of different minority cultures here in America.
That's so awesome. I love that. And, getting back more into yourself, can you tell us about, what things in creative industry do you think align with like your own values? You've talked about diversity, you've talked about storytelling. I mean, what else?
Yeah, so another thing that I really loved about the creative industry, I really feel like it really aligns with like my unique personality. I love to, of course, meet new people and love to talk to others about, different conversations. Like it could be about the random things, and I'm just like so into it. So like, it gave me a chance to like, display like things that are near and dear to my heart, that I feel like conversations that need to be, spoken about in the creative industry, whether that's like diversity or inclusion or different things of that sort, it would really be, helpful to, put that media out there. And that what better way to do that than being creative? And also, I did have like, kind of like this passion, or like really wanted like a goal to be like a radio host in Houston, to like talk about different stories and topics and subjects on the radio with my hometown. Like that would be so cool. And usually people from like my high school, from my area of Houston, usually don't like be in the creative field. So like this is like a different atmosphere for someone like me to be in. So it really like put a challenge on me because I didn't know I was creative until now.
Oh, I love that for you. That is so awesome, Sophie.
Thank you.
Like, oh, like, bro, you be a radio host in our hometown, or you gonna be like Tom Joyner, basically.
No,
But a
that
black woman. I love that so much. I'm also from Houston, that's why I'm like, yeah, like
that's okay. We didn't meet each other until UT. Like we never knew each other until UT.
but live down the street. That's
Down the street from each other.
but yeah, also what have been some of like your favorite creative projects that you've worked on while you were in college?
So I have many projects that I've worked on. Um, but my favorite ones would definitely be, I've made a campaign video with my friend Jaleesa right here. She was running for student government last year before, the world turned upside down. And like literally the week before the world turned upside down. And had the chance to, work with her and produce a video for her and her running mate, Jerry, to, show to their audience to recruit more people into voting them. So that was really helpful for me. And also, I made a public service announcement video. It was like 30 seconds long. That was, even though it sounds short, it was really hard because, you had to condense.
Yeah.
But it was still a good project. I feel like I got the message across kind of fast. And also my podcast.
See, I love that. I mean, how can we even like see more of your work? Like, where can we catch this stuff at?
So you can catch this stuff on my Bub if you would like. I have my Bub account that you want me to show my screen?
Yeah, show us your profile, show us your ball, please.
Cool. So I'm sharing my screen now. So here's my Bub. So you can see all of my work here on my bub. Also, I will send out the link to you guys so you guys can have it. And I just have different like files, from freelance work to my podcast. I have all like my episodes, the social media handles that you can, follow them on. Something you should chime into afterwards.
Mhm.
Also, like some of the work that I've done, like even in my internships, is all located here. So if you're interested, and want to see more of my work, please don't hesitate to go to my
Can
bub.
you tell us more about what you did for HISD?
Sorry, you guys. Yes. Oh, sorry.
You're good.
Technical difficulties. Yeah. So HISD, I can go to the little page for you guys. So HISD, I had the chance to work with HISD over the summer, and that's when the pandemic first started. Usually this position that I applied for usually is in person, but since everything was happening, they moved it to online. So I had the opportunity to join the HISD team. So
Mhm.
my position there, I was an instructional technology intern. So basically my duty was to help like students, parents, or faculty, make their access to technical resources easier. With everything moving online, they wanted to make different forms, pages, resources for students and parents to go log on, to understand how to navigate different websites or, classes that they may have during their time at HISD. So I was in charge of like making different I don't know if you guys can really see this. Let me try to make it bigger for you guys. Okay, it's not working. But
See.
as you can see, I made like these different pages, how to send a message to your teacher on the hub, things of that sort. So something that's not, too overbearing, but just easy enough for them to read. So that was my assignments.
That's really dope. I love that. And did you want to show like the 30-second campaign you made?
Yes. That's also on here. I think it's under freelance, right?
Oh, she fancy.
I tried. I stole y'all picture, by the way, of course.
Oh, you also this video. I meant the ad the
Oh,
yeah.
got you. Oh, go back. Here go the public service announcement.
Yeah.
Let's see if it will play.
And look at y'all so fancy.
It's not playing. Wow.
That's okay. It be like that sometimes.
Sorry. I could get my hard drive and plug it in if you guys want to do that.
You're good. I
So
mean, what about your podcast? I think that you had a podcast website as well.
yes, yes. I kind of already showed it to you guys a little bit, but let me share my screen again. Oh, I don't think you guys can see it. There you go. So this is the Real Deal Podcast website, the thing that is working right now. So this is the homepage, and
Okay.
I have like an episode right here lined up for you if you want to go to it.
Mm.
You click on it. There you go. And it's also a warning on here, just to let you know, just to let you know.
Did you make this website?
Yes, I did make this website. So I just got on here and just start putting stuff together. I never made a website a day in my life, so this is the first time ever I've did this. So it's not the best. Thank
They look nice.
you. I made this graphic, y'all. Don't judge me.
It look good.
Thank you. And this is the host one too. so you can learn more about me. If y'all want to schedule a meeting with me, you can. The
Mhm.
episodes I just showed y'all that tab in the blog. I have a blog. So if you want to chat with me more personal, I'm
Mhm.
down for that too. Sorry, it's kind of slow. It have a lot of stuff going on. That's why it be slow like that sometimes. But yeah, there's my blog. You can make comments. You can like about different topics that I've talked about on my podcast or that I value here on my podcast. So audience can have a chance to interact with me.
Mhm. Well, that's so awesome. I love that. Can
Thank you.
you tell us more about like why you started your podcast or what were your goals with the podcast?
Yeah, so the Real Deal podcast came along in about 2019. I've been always passionate about, wanting to talk to others about, conversations that, may be uncomfortable because I feel like, we have to talk about it in order to get over that barrier. So one of my friends mentioned to me, about having a podcast, and I'm like, that's crazy, like I don't even know where to start. And I literally just downloaded an app one day during the summer, and I just said, you know what? I'm gonna make a podcast. So I made my podcast off of Anchor. It's a free app. I had no troubles like uploading my podcast, and I wanted to, be able to engage with my audience as well. So I made like a Spotify and a YouTube channel for it, so I could be able to talk with actual audience members about like the conversations that I had. So when I mean uncomfortable conversations, I mean like conversations about race or like poverty, period poverty, different problems in the justice system. Like we get deep. So that's why I named it The Real Deal, because I wanted it to be real, real content, about what's going on in our world. Like what are we seeing right now?
Mhm. What were some of your favorite episodes?
So some of my favorite episodes were actually That's on Period. I did this episode with the Women Relief Initiative nonprofit organization, and we talked about period poverty and what we could do on our behalf, to end this issue.
Mhm.
Um, of course, no one really likes to talk about periods, so I thought that was fun. um, Also, the corrupted system, part one, intro to Michael Clifton. One of my near dear friends, uncle has been in jail for a minute now, like decades. I think 30 years or 20 years. It's
Oh,
in
wow.
that range. But he's been there for a minute and he has a long sentence, and it's something that's really long and not really major. So it was just kind of like a episode where we just talked about like race and the justice system and like how that could basically, weigh your chances of your freedom or, being in jail. So definitely tune into that.
Okay.
And last but not least, I also had, the Real Deal on TikToks. During the summer, I'm pretty sure you all remember, TikTok was doing different things that were, taking like minority content off of their platforms, and many people have to go to Instagram or Twitter, share their content. So me and a friend got on here and talked about like the issue of TikToks doing this, and how do TikTokers feel about this, and how do this one incident reflect what's going on in our world. And that was just 2020, so that was really fun to do.
Okay, okay, Chelsea. Wow, you out here doing some real investigation and stuff. Like,
Thank you.
yes. I mean, okay. So, you have your own show, you're doing all of these amazing things and working with E4 Youth. What are your hopes for the future? Do you have any dream jobs or jobs you want to work after college?
Yeah, so after college, I do plan to move back to Houston. I really, like I mentioned before, even in my bio, community engagement is really important to me. So moving back to Houston and like getting that chance to, actually share this knowledge or like this passion for creativity among not only the youth, but like everyone that, may feel this passion or anything, like I'm happy to help. So I just always kind of wanted a job, that aligns with that value of wanting to bring the community together or help others when in need, or helping them fulfill their passions. So I always kind of had a dream job of wanting to move back to Houston. I kind of been thinking about HISD as well, just because I really like the work environment and like actually like helping kids one-on-one. Especially like I got a really good chance of doing that within like the creative mentor job that E4 Youth gave me the opportunity to do. So it's really cool of like, being with students and wanting to help them fulfill a passion of creativity and not just like a subject in English, math. So that's a dream job. But other than that, I mean, I really just want to work in like media production, anything where I could like, really produce content that's meaningful, and be able to enjoy the space and work environment, and whatever we're doing is for a greater good. I definitely, want a job like that for my career.
That's so awesome. I love that. I'm so excited to see where you'll be in the future.
You too. You're great. You're such a great person.
Stop. Um, and also, if you guys have any questions for Chelsea, go ahead and put those in the chat right now. But before we get to the comments in the chat, I want to ask, do you have any advice for freshmen in high school or in college, about getting into the creative field, or any tidbits that you learned along the way?
Yes. Something I wish I would have learned on the way here was kind of like understanding your passion. If you feel like you have a passion that's outside of like the norm, like go for it. Practice that passion, craft that passion, whatever it may be. Do it as soon as you feel like you might have an interest in it. And if you don't like it, that's totally fine. Move on to the next, but at least you know that you touched your hands on it. So that's definitely an advice that I wish I would have known. And also another thing I would definitely recommend to young creatives is it's okay to sometimes be confused. I know, we want the answer right now, but sometimes you have to go through those journeys to understand why or what you want to do in your future. So don't rush it. It will come. You see, I'm still figuring out, and I'm in college. I'm finna graduate in May, and I still don't know what's going on. Like, so don't rush it. It's definitely coming.
Yeah, I feel that. Me too. Lost.
Like, how does it even March?
Yeah, I mean, is there? Huh?
I said, how is it like even March? Like
Yeah,
it's not bad.
March. But we're about to graduate in May. It's crazy. But yeah, I mean, also, did you learn any like tips for editing or things like that?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Also, yes, I did learn tips for editing. Honestly, one tip that I feel like could help any editor, no matter what you edit, for music videos to storytelling, is make something that's cohesive but easy to understand with your audience. I mean, that sound like, of course, like a duh, but it's kind of hard, when you go through like all of that footage and it's a lot, and it could definitely like be intimidating. But I feel like while you're like going through those moments of like putting the story together, think of the most cohesive way of probably how you would think of how the story could probably go. Of course, it's going to be multiple eyes that look, on your work to make sure that it makes sense. But, kind of go with your flow. Don't try to create something or force something that you're not really like feeling just because of the sake for others. So, definitely be more, unique with your work. Make it more personal.
Awesome. I love that so much. I appreciate all the advice. We're gonna jump to the comments in the comment section. So Lily said, "What was the inspiration behind your podcast? And can you give us a behind the scenes of your production process?"
Yes. So first off, my inspiration behind my podcast but really just because I just wanted my own platform, if you want me to be honest. I told you guys earlier, I thought RTF was in front of the TV. I'm broadcasting, So I kind of always wanted that like, spotlight, I guess you could say. So the podcast kind of like gave me that like, oomph, like I was actually gonna like it felt like a radio show. And that's exactly like what I was going for, and podcasting was best for that. Also, a little bit about my behind the scenes production process. So, first off, I at least try to come up with some kind of like script. Of course, like podcasts or just, conversations, anything can come out. But, at least having some kind of foundation of what's the aim for this episode, what do we want our audience to take away from this episode? What could we do to better enhance the episode for more listeners can stay for a longer period of time to actually understand what we're talking about. After I go through that little script process and add questions that I think that would be valuable to the conversation, I go to the recording process. Well, of course the scheduling process, but then the recording process. Once the recording happens, I do it right here in my house. I have my own microphone that I bought off of Amazon. So I kind of just did it like off the fly for me. I record here on my computer at home and I do the editing. I edit on Pro Tools, even Soundtrap, thanks Carl. And I used to even use Audacity, if you guys still remember that. That's kind of ancient.
I love that. I love that. That's super cool.
Thank you.
I've never heard of Audacity anyways. So
Yeah, it's kind of old. I can't lie.
I'm glad Carl put you on there.
Yeah, me too.
That Ricardo said, "Do you have any podcasts that you are inspired by?"
Yes. So I really like Michelle Obama podcast. Like the way the editing, the feel of it, like that's the feel I want for a podcast, kind of like you release your mind and you just like indulge in the podcast conversation, kind of like you forget that you're even in the podcast, like the conversation is that good. But I love like the way she goes about it, the guests that she brings and the topics that she talk about, is not just about, government politics stuff. She's talking about real stuff, and I love it.
Man, I love that. Michelle podcast go hard.
She says some stuff on there. Even bring friends on there, and it's really nice.
That's so awesome. I love that. But so our next one is from Lily. She said, "Was there a specific moment when you found out media production was for you?"
Yes. So this moment in particular happened my sophomore year in college. So I was confused for the longest about actually being a creative. I was just taking like RTF classes to see like how I felt about it, and I was like, if I don't like it, I would change my major later. But it was sophomore year and I was like, okay, we still gonna get this RTF thing a try. Like I kept coming back to it. And I got introduced into a class that was a foundational course, which was RTF 318, and it was intro to sound and image. And they had a project for us where we had to edit like our actual footage. And they put us on this editing software and didn't tell us nothing. They just said, "Hey, edit." We was like, "What?" Like when I tell y'all I was struggling, I was really struggling. I like hated the process. I was really struggling. Like I just, did what I could and sent it in. But after it was all said and done, I sent it in. I was like, that was kind of cool, like putting my own stories and stuff together. So once I got through that little moment, I just decided to take more classes that aim towards editing or like media production. And that's where it all started.
I remember this. I remember this time trying to figure this out because I for sure was trying to convince Chelsea to go to journalism. I was like, if you want to be on camera, you need to go to journalism. Forget all that editing stuff. Like that girl used to be in the library editing for hours. I was like, man, let's go get some food. let's hang out, let's play some games. And she in
Yeah,
there editing.
I'm editing. I'm bringing my food to the editing room. Like that's and not to also mention, I like during those times, like I did have like a job too, and I didn't have like my own editing software at home, so I could only edit on campus. So once I got off of work, I went to work at 5 in the morning, get off at 1, then go straight to the editing room, and I used to stay there until 7, 8. Still came home to homework. Yeah, that was wild times.
Wow. So our next comment is from Chrissy. She said, "Any advice for those who want to start a podcast?"
Yes, do it. Like that's the quote. Do it.
Not Nike.
Just do it. Like literally. It's so many like apps that's on our phones that we can use daily to be creative. It's so many apps, so many softwares that you can do, podcasts, record your own stuff, jump on a podcast. Like you can even jump on people like live conversations. Like it's a whole app for that. It's so easy nowadays to just like start being creative. It's like literally like at our fingertips. So my advice would literally be, if you feel like you should and want to have your platform that you really want to talk about, whatever you want to talk about, then you should definitely, make your podcast and make it personal to whatever you want to talk about, because that's what's really going to make it flourish, is whatever you want to talk about.
Love that. You're definitely right on that. Right on the ball.
Thank you.
Awesome. And Cynthia, what is your workflow for podcasting? How did you plan your post-production and marketing rollout?
Okay. That's a good question.
Yeah.
So first off, my workflow, I usually take 2 weeks in advance before it's time for the actual show to like plan it out, do the whole recording process and edit it, just because I know I have other crazy things going on in my life with school and all. So I do give myself at least 2 weeks in time, or even just like take breaks sometimes in podcasting seasons. And I also try to go by seasons to make it feel like podcasty. But also like my plan for like post-production, I just kind of like edit out those things that like those murmurs or like those stutters or like probably something that was like irrelevant to the conversation to not like confuse the audience. I had to like work on like actually getting like the meat of the like episode out and like get it out and not have all the extra stuff. So that's still a work in progress. But I always felt like I had to have music under every piece of my of my audio. I mean, of not my audio, but of my, voiceovers. But I just kind of did it like, because that's what I've like learned. But over time, as I listen to like different podcasts and kind of get inspiration from them, I'm kind of like thinking of different ways to edit it or like use music to engage like people into the conversation. And as far as marketing, I just made an Instagram, a YouTube, and a Twitter for it, and I just post and Facebook, and I just post the same stuff on all the accounts and just use my own hashtag too. I created my own hashtag so people can like follow the conversation or remember it. But that's it. I really didn't come up with a plan.
That's awesome. I love that. I love that so much. Yeah, you did. I feel like you did really good starting off with your marketing, getting like, your friends and family involved first and then other people too.
You're right.
And Karen said, do you have any sponsors yet?
No, but I am actively looking. If you know anybody that is willing to do the real deal, hey, yes, I would love a sponsor. Oh, I like that. That's a nice little ching to the ears. Sponsor.
If you were to do one, how would they be able to connect with you? Do you have like a LinkedIn or something?
Oh yes, I have a LinkedIn. I also will drop that too for you guys if you don't have it. But yes, you can connect with me on LinkedIn after our conversation, and I'm more than available. I'm always on LinkedIn, so I would definitely get to you guys.
All right, that's so awesome. And is there any last thing that you wanted to share any pieces of advice or encouragement or things about your future that you want to leave us with?
Yes. So first and foremost, thank you so much to E4 Youth for promoting creativity within minority communities. I resonate with you guys' mission so much, and I'm so happy that I'm here and taking it all in. And thank you for having me on this talk. I look forward, to meeting with you guys soon or via, online and connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm more than happy, to connect with you guys and also be on some projects if you want me to.
Okay, Kelsey. I'm so excited for you. Hopefully, people reach out. But yeah, it was so good having you on the show today. I was so excited to hear your story. I appreciate you sharing so much. And if you guys want to get involved with E4 Youth and be able to hear more stories like Kelsey's, we do these stories. I mean, we do these talks every Wednesday at 12. You can tune in with us every week. Also, we talk to different creative professionals. And you can also even get involved with the E4 Youth Creative Leadership Academy. And you can be one of the students like I am and like Chelsea is, and really get involved with the projects that E4 Youth is doing, as well as getting involved with the creative industry and be able to have opportunities to build your portfolio like Chelsea was able to build hers. But yeah, also if you want to donate to E4 Youth, yes, you can donate to E4 Youth for Amplify Austin. Amplify Austin will be held on March 4th through 5th. Amplify Austin is basically a big campaign that people do in Austin every year to sort of promote nonprofits in the creative space. Well, not in the creative space, but nonprofits in Austin. So if you guys are just as fascinated with our mission as Chelsea is, please make sure that you donate to E4 Youth during Amplify Austin this year. All right. So it was great seeing all of you today, and we'll see you all next week at 12. Bye, everyone.